It's the Friday Feels, and we're back with your first sip of the weekend. You're now tuned in to this week's episode of Your Happy Hour. I'm your host, Nicole Carmine, and it's amazing to have you here, joining me this week as we uncover the truths about being a human and a working professional. What are you up to this Friday? Well, whatever it is, this moment is just for you. So we're knee-deep in your adventures of this February, and I wonder where you are traveling to. Where have your travels led you so far in 2025? Are you finding the way to your heart? Are you climbing some exotic mountain? Are you planning the group trip that you and your friends have been dying to do? So we hope that whatever you're doing, it's full of the feels. And we've also covered some ground talking about the traveling tribe vibes. We talked about nature connected community with founder of Be Wild, Alex. We talked a little bit about culture and cuisine connected community with Anita, my beautiful mom. And today we want to delve into something around home connected community, as we understand a little bit more about what is this energy exchange of swapping homes. Now, for those of you who have been following along the Friday Feels podcast for a while, you know I've often spoken about the fact that I home exchange, and it's this platform that I've been using for quite a few years now. And I just had a look this morning. I see I've done 92 exchanges since I signed up in November 2020. So it's been quite a wild ride, and it's literally changed my life. In so many ways. It's made it possible to pay my mortgage and still travel, being able to live in the United States of America and in France for traveling for 2 years, living in home exchanges. And it's just made it possible to meet the most incredible friends and be part of a global community that's really honestly filled with kindness, care, and love. So Friday Feels has now partnered with Home Exchange to talk about this week, and we have a very special guest to showcase one of the top travelers out there to chat about this theme of traveling tribe vibes. I've honestly been so excited about this talk, Kim. I want to welcome Kim Colwell to this podcast and to unpack this topic a little bit further. A fellow home exchange member, and you've done an exorbitant amount of exchanges in quite a short space of time. And for those of you thinking out there that Kim must just be a traveler by day to get all of this done, no. Kim is actually an incredible community leader in the legal field, serving as a judge and doing so in the criminal justice space, I believe. And so there's a lot to unpack in our topic today. We've decided it's called Making Friends Around the World. I'm really excited to hear more about all your adventures, Kim, as a traveler, but also, of course, in your career. So a very big welcome to Your Happy Hour. It's an honor to have you here.
Well, thank you. I'm delighted to be here.
So tell us a little bit about how home exchange started for you. What does this topic mean to you, kind of making friends around the world and having a tribe while you're traveling, having those feelings and vibes?
So it started for me with a friend who did a home exchange from San Francisco to Amsterdam. And it was just so amazing. I was like, wait a minute, you did that trip and you stayed in that really beautiful house and had an experience that was really local and really satisfying and really inexpensive. How is that possible? And so from his experience, I looked up home exchange and I started exploring the site and looking through it and thinking, hey, this is something that we could do. And we were just finishing up some work on our house. And so when it was done, I thought, let's try this. I wonder if people will want to come, because I'm in Berkeley, California. I wondered if people would really want to come here. I thought, well, maybe because it's close to San Francisco, they'll want to come here. So I took pictures and completed my profile and put it up, and bam, we started right in. People wanted to come to Berkeley, which surprised me, which is what I tell everybody. Don't discount where you live,
Mm.
because people from all over the world have family and friends all over the world. And so they're going to want to go to even tiny little places. It doesn't always have to be, where you are, Paris, which is obviously fantastic. So we started doing that. And the first trip we took was with, there were 5 of us. So we took another couple and another friend, and we all went to Guatemala and stayed in this incredible place near Lake Atitlan, and we just explored Guatemala, and it just was absolutely fantastic. When you call your friends and you say, "Do you want to go to Guatemala?" All you'd have to do is get yourself there, and the rest is, on us. It was fabulous, and we were just off to the races. And so since then, have done. We were talking about this earlier. I think we're getting close to 100 at this point, and taken friends and family, and we've met people all over the world. I mean, you don't meet someone on every home exchange, but many of them, obviously, for everyone, you have some kind of connection because you're establishing, do you want to go? Do they want to come to your house? What the framework is. But we have now what I consider to be dear and lifelong friends in many countries around the world, which I, didn't expect to happen. So it's fantastic.
It's amazing. I love that story. And I feel like most people's home exchange experience has been like that, initiated in a way that's so unexpected. And I think for people who are listening who don't know how the platform works, maybe just a quick intro is that you sign up, you pay an annual membership fee, and then the rest is really like a conversation. You're reaching out to people saying, hey, I want to come here from this date to this date, and you have some filters, like I always choose pet friendly because Gracie's traveling with me. Maybe you want there to be Wi-Fi or whatever that is, and then you just reach out to people and communicate. So how have you found that been? I mean, it's quite a nice thing that there's this kind of conversational based. I know a lot of people use Airbnb or other places, other platforms like that. So, but home exchange is quite different, I think.
Yeah, so when you reach out, you really are, because you're staying in someone's home. I mean, some people have their a place they might Airbnb, or a cottage that they have or something like that on, but a lot of people have, like we have, just our home. We only have one. So you're asking to stay in their space, and they come to yours. And I find that unexpected to me is the degree of satisfaction that I get from someone having a fabulous time at my house. So I go out of my way to leave maps and information and try to answer every question, make suggestions if they want them. We put that, I have a house book that I try to make pretty comprehensive. And when somebody has a great time, like we just had some people in last month who were here from Bali, a couple, their 2 little boys, and the one of the wife's mother. They had the best time, and so I vicariously had the best time. So that was unexpected, and really a delight. And you come home and the house is fine.
Yeah, I love that. I love it. And I completely resonate with what you're saying. And I remember my very first home exchange as well. I was so kind of nervous to open my space to somebody else, but it's different because other people are also opening their homes, and you find that there is that kind of exchange of kindness, and people leaving gifts for each other. And, it's really a beautiful space and a very trusting space, which I think there's very little of in the world, and it's something that's quite rare, but hopefully can grow. And so I'm quite curious, so what has been like your most unexpected home exchange experience that you've had up to now?
Wow. Unexpected. You know what, to be truthful, they're all unexpected in some way. There's something that always happens with everyone that is a surprise. So, for example, we just came from a home exchange last month. We went to Laredo, Mexico, and stayed. The woman there had already stayed in our house, and then we went down at a different time. And we went to this community where she lived, and we're trying to find the address. We're having a little trouble. We're walking around with our suitcases trying to find where we were supposed to be, and we saw these people up ahead. And I said, "Hey, excuse me, can you tell me where this place is?" "Oh, yeah, it's right here." We got to talking to them. So weirdly, they had a dog, and the dog's name was Berkeley. And I said, "Oh, really? Like the city Berkeley?" And they said, "Yeah, same spelling. It's actually named after the city of Berkeley." because the woman's son lived here. And I was like, wow, we're just arriving from Berkeley. Isn't that weird? So then we kept talking, and the two guys said, oh, come back later. We feed the hummingbirds here. And I don't know what that means, but I said, okay, fine. You know, you're open to new adventures and home exchange for sure. We always are. So we came back at the appointed hour, and they were literally feeding hummingbirds with these tiny little feeders where you hold them, and the hummingbirds would land on your hands. These beautiful, bright red and green and blue. Like it was amazing. I've never seen any, and they're so tiny. So that was really fun. And I got to talking to the guys, and I said, where are you from? You know, regularly, because it was their vacation house. They said, oh, Palm Springs. And my partner has just finished a movie that was playing in the Palm Springs International Film Festival. And I said, wow, you guys should go see her movie when you go back, because I knew they were going back. And one of them said, wait, what's the name of the movie? And I said, Sally. And so he said, oh my God. He turned his phone around, and the poster for the movie was on his phone 30 minutes before he had been asked to host a party for my partner's movie. We didn't know these guys. We've never seen them in our lives. Now we're fast friends because it was the weirdest thing. But so she went to their house for her movie in Palm Springs afterwards. But they've invited us back to Laredo. They gave us their kayak to use when they left. They were so warm and welcoming. It was just because of home exchange and a just, random weird coincidence. So that was very unexpected.
That's an unexpected story, and I love that. And it's highlighting two things I really want to mention. And the one is, I think a lot of people, when they think of home exchange, think, okay, and this is what I thought as well. It's the movie, kind of the holiday where you swap homes reciprocally. And what's cool about the platform is that you don't always have to do that. So it's like you can book a place, earn points. A person who's home it is earns the points, and you can take those points and you can go elsewhere, or like you mentioned now, you do a non-simultaneous reciprocal exchange, which is often the case because sometimes you just can't swap at that exact time. So that makes it interesting too. And then the other point is, I don't believe in coincidences. I believe in resonance and energy, and I just think that is such a beautiful story that, when you are finding your vibes, your traveling tribe vibes out there, there's so much more than just the home connection. There's so much more than just that kind of community through home exchange. But there's a world of, it's such a small world, even though it's big. And exactly like to your point, you're making friends that are in the same kind of vibe as you are, and how unexpected yeah, that's beautiful. I really love it. Thank you for sharing that story.
Yeah.
And so I'm also curious how, you obviously do quite a lot of traveling, and yet you are working, and a lot of people are probably asking this question in their mind. So how do you balance the two? And I know we've spoken about this a little bit before, but you work as a judge, so that's really interesting. Friday Feels is all about being human, but also being a working professional, and how do we kind of balance all of that? So how did you find kind of this balance between your work life and traveling, and how's that looked for you?
So I get, a certain amount of vacation a year. My partner teaches, so we try to coordinate around the times that the school's down. Like I can go whenever, it doesn't matter. It's within the amount of time that I have. And so we've found that there are lots of teachers on home exchange, or people who have kids, or, whatever, who are bound by that same sort of calendar, or can do non-simultaneous or points. And so we've been able to set things up. I was a trial lawyer for 25 years on fairly substantial cases. So I just had it driven into me to think ahead, to plan ahead, to look at the end game and work backwards. And so that's what I do. Like, for example, right now, I already have our whole summer trip. We have 6 home exchanges back to back this summer in Eastern Europe, but I'm already working on next January. So I'm always thinking way ahead, working with vacation times. If I plan and I'm really studious about it, I can set it up where we have breaks. Then also, you can grab a long weekend here and there. We went on a long weekend recently to Brooklyn in New York to visit family for, a long weekend. That's easy to do. So if I plan it out, other people do it differently than I do. Other people do last minute stuff, and that works too. That's not. I can't. That doesn't work with my psyche because because of work. I need to be there when I'm there, and when I'm there, it is super intense. It's criminal in Alameda County, including Oakland. So there's a lot going on. But then, I need a break, and this gives me a complete break.
I've seen people request now for December this year already, for my home in Cape Town. And I'm also like, I can't think that far ahead. But I can appreciate that. And I've had similar experiences where I've either planned trips ahead and then you can. And then other times, as I was traveling for on the fly, I wanted people to be able to say, hey, I can accommodate you tomorrow. And that's also there, and that's great. And so it's cool that you've been able to find your own groove in terms of traveling. And like I mentioned earlier, I think the beautiful thing about this is that if you are a traveler at heart, but you're also still paying for your own home, or like you say, you're accommodating your career, then you can still travel. It makes it possible for you to do so. I'm more curious right now about your journey as a lawyer and as a judge, a little bit as well, because as we are a global working professional platform, how did you land in this? Did you always know that you wanted to be in the legal field? What's kind of been your journey up to this point?
No, I didn't always know. I was an English major in college. So what do you do with that? Right? There's not a lot. And law is a natural extension of that. I mean, a natural jumping point for that. There are lots of English majors who go to law school. So I went to law school and I came to San Francisco. I was in college in Oregon and I grew up in Los Angeles. So then I sort of split the distance and I went to law school in San Francisco and stayed and found a job and decided I really liked this area. And so, how you bump around job to job till you find your niche. And I really liked trial work and ended up doing a lot of federal trials. So that was where I got my forward planning backwards thing, and had a team of lawyers working with me, and we would work all up and down the state. So it was really fun, but it was really intense. And then someone approached me and said, would you consider putting your name in to be a judge? And I told them they were crazy. It's actually the same person who got me turned on to home exchange. And I said, no, you're crazy. No, I'm not going to make it it never occurred to me. So, but then I thought about it more, and I had worked on a couple cases at that point in my career I was hired to be a neutral, to assess a situation and make a determination about what should happen to the employees or whatever the situation was. And it really appealed to me. It was different, than being an advocate, which I had been my whole career. So then I put the application in, and Governor Brown at the time here in California decided I would be chosen. And so I went to the court, and it's been just fabulous. I love, love, love it. We do all kinds of different things there right now. As you said, I'm doing criminal, but I've done civil. I've done, a lot of things they have. So it's a really rewarding job. I'm working for the people, trying to be fair every day and engage people of all, you have to talk to everybody. And it's been great. It's been a great ride. So I still have a little ways to go, but then, when I get done with it all, then I can do more home exchanges.
It sounds like that friend of yours who introduced you is a catalyst in your life for home exchange.
Now that we're talking about it.
So that's really interesting. I mean, I think just talking about your job for a second, it's for a lot of people, maybe this is my own perspective, but I think that's quite a tough job to do. I think you seem to kind of talk about it with grace and ease, but I can imagine that's quite hard every day in terms of what you're doing. Do you feel like it is something that's heavy on you, or it's you've become accustomed to it?
You never get accustomed to it. So, for example, yesterday I was sentencing someone who committed a murder, and the family of the person who died came to court to speak. That's their opportunity, their last opportunity before the sentencing. And to watch a mother stand there who's destroyed. She's destroyed. Her son was gone. It is heart-wrenching. but they have to be heard, and I try to be listen to them whatever they say. And it's super heavy, but it's really important. She deserves that opportunity. And then I try also to be respectful to the person I'm sending away for years and years. They usually understand they made a mistake. It's their worst day, and there's a consequence. And so what I've learned, because that is about as heavy as it gets, is I've learned to compartmentalize. So I just, when I walk out of that office, I close that door. I'm not going there, right? You have to. I learned that early in my career because you can't take it home. It would destroy you. You're taking on so much from people, so much that you just have to find a way to put it in a box, or you can't survive. So I do that, and hopefully I'm compassionate in the moment, and doing all the things that people want me to do and need me to do. But then I have to close that door for the day, and there'll be another one tomorrow, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then I take vacations.
Yeah, yeah, it seems like they probably really need it, I'm sure. It's, as you were talking, I mean, my eyes were welling up here. I think, I don't know if I have the capacity that you do. I think you're very brave to do what you do. But I agree that, having very healthy boundaries and having mechanisms to deal with those things and things to fill your cup, to be able to come with a cup of compassion, like you were saying, is really important. And if travel is that, then that's a really beautiful way to fill that, because travel gives so much light. I'm sure through travel, you've probably gained so many perspectives of being human in different ways that's have given you like a different light to look at your own work with and the people you engage with every day. I don't know if that's the case.
Yeah, for sure it is, because you experience different cultures, different people. Things are important in different ways. They express themselves in different ways, and that is in my courtroom, certainly every day, people from different walks of life, different backgrounds than I have. So that has helped me to understand they approach it differently sometimes. And there's no one way that's better than another. I need to listen to them in their way. And or if they have a way that's ended up making them commit a crime and end up in this circumstance, I have to explain, well, that may be okay there, but it's not here, and here's what has to happen. But I try to do it with, as much dignity and respect as I can. Sometimes you get upset, but you can't show it,
Yeah.
so that's interesting.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I can only imagine. What do you feel has been like your most, if you can share some of it, like most exciting day in court, like something unexpected or exciting?
Well, everybody is always asking me for stories because there's always something that happens. I'll tell you, let's see, last week, because I forget them, there's so many, but last week, a couple of guys I was sentencing them, and they were out of custody, and I had to send one of them into custody because they had come from another country and used their opportunity here to lure young girls from their country and then lock them up in houses and basically were sex trafficking them.
Oof.
And it was horrible what they did, just horrible. And one of them didn't want to go in right now because his lawyer was like, well, his family's coming. Could we have him go to jail later? And I was like, no, this is time. This is the time. This is now. And he said to me, the defendant said to me, but it's my birthday. And I said, well, I bet you didn't let the women who you had locked up in the houses out for their birthdays. I mean, what you did to take advantage of your situation and take advantage of people who are less fortunate and vulnerable. And I didn't plan on doing this. It was completely unexpected, and I laid into like I did, because I was like, what are you doing? You can't, this is selfish, this is hideous, happy birthday, you're going to jail, you can't do this to people. And when I finished, my deputy cuffed him up and was taking him out, and the entire courtroom burst into applause. And I asked the deputy, police that are in my courtroom, was that the women who was applauding? And he said, nope, it was just the audience, and the people in the back stood up because they felt what I was saying. They felt the injustice of what had happened, and that somebody saw those women and felt for those women. And, I know it's not just me. I represent something big. I represent government. I represent the man, But I heard them. I saw them. I cared about them. And it was emotion. For me, it was just from the heart. And they applauded. And that's, excuse me, never happened before. But I was like, okay, well, and then I made my point.
I think that's amazing, and you do hold this position of power to change things for people. And as you were telling that story, what came to mind for me also, just in the theme that we're talking about, is often I think those girls who probably thought, hey, let me go travel and find some interesting tribe out there and some cool vibes in America, didn't end up in a good situation. So it's an interesting theme because, something like home exchange provides us safety, comfort, a beautiful exchange of kindness in terms of home. And then you can have all these other situations as well, which we hope happens to nobody out there. But it's about finding that compassion and finding that energy exchange that is, I guess, just for people out there, follow your intuition. If it doesn't feel good, then it probably isn't,
Right.
But it's really great to see the contrast too, and I'm glad that you could just stand up for that moment, because it is important to say, well, hey, yeah, doesn't matter what day it is of the year for you. It's an important day for these people to have justice. So I think that's awesome, and yeah, that must have been unexpected for you to experience that.
It was crazy, but it reminds me and the people that I work with that we're very privileged. We are very lucky to be able to do home exchange and make friends around the world and experience different cultures and see new things. But there are those who can't, and so I'm glad I can remember them and try to help them if I can. But then I'm always grateful for what I have as well. It makes it even more fun to go places.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great that you see it like that. And, obviously, as we're talking, everyone can hear that, what you're doing is heavy, and it's obviously really important. And so I'm sure that it hasn't always been easy, as you've said. What do you feel has been that kind of best advice, that moment or that person that said something to you, or maybe you read something somewhere that's really changed the way you approach things as a working professional and as a human?
Huh. It's a good question. I'm not sure I have an immediate answer. I can say that in my job, when people who may be in a very difficult circumstance, very difficult, respond to me and say thank you, that means a lot to me, because sometimes it might be a circumstance where maybe they're getting evicted, and I tried to explain it to them and give them options and whatever, and they appreciate being heard. Or a defendant who's going to do time, but they appreciated that I try to look in their eyes and talk to them, kind of thing. So when they say thank you, I find that to be incredibly rewarding, because I mean, let's say they're going to prison. It's strange to have someone say thank you, or to say, come out and say, how are you? When someone's in custody, how are you? And I say, fine, how are you? Of course, you say that back. And if it was me and I was them incarcerated, I would not be saying fine. But some of them are like, I'm doing really great today. Like, thank you. Like, it's very interesting. People are really interesting.
Yeah, people are. Humans are quite a strange species, but I think it's quite interesting that you mention that, because we forget sometimes how human our interactions are and can be, beyond the courtroom, like you say, and we're just those simple humans that have gratitude, or have different feelings in that moment, and it's amazing that they can still show that. You'd probably think they upset, or from after what happened. So
Yeah. Or I had one where it comes to mind now. Years and years ago, I barely even remembered it. I had a case with a guy who was representing himself, and he was he didn't do well and he didn't win, but he was very smart. And I told him, look, you're really smart. You really should direct this. You should go to school. You should, you should be a lawyer. I told him that, and I meant it, but who knows if it happens. And about, I don't know, 2 months ago, I got a letter from him saying that he's in law school. He said, I took what you said to heart. I went to college. I'm going to graduate from law school. I'm like, he's a completely changed person. And then I told him, I said, well, look, and when you pass the bar, come find me because I will swear you in personally. I think that would be the perfect circle. And he was so excited. Hopefully he gets this year. I think he's going to end, and it would be great to swear him in after all that. Because you don't realize sometimes, I think this is true of all of us, you don't realize the impact that what you say has on people sometimes. And that literally changed that guy's life. And how cool that he's going to be a lawyer. I would love to swear him in. It would be fantastic. Because I know he was at a big low when I met him.
That's amazing, Kim. Like, how inspirational. I mean, that's beautiful that you recognize the opportunity to inspire him, because someone else could have maybe said something different to him and just said, okay, this is the sentence for the day, goodbye. But you obviously triggered something in this guy, as a catalyst, which is incredible. And yeah, I think that would be awesome. Well, do let us know when that happens, and we'd love to follow along. For me, I feel like life is always changing. And I often think about this, we all just the stories that we create for ourselves. Today you might be different to what you were yesterday. And I think often people who go to prison, for example, for a certain reason, I think sometimes, how could their story have been different? And what is the new story, the new chapter that they want to tell after that, and that we could easily categorize them always and forever by their past. But we wouldn't want that for ourselves either. So we want to be able to tell new stories. I really love that. And on the topic of thank you, I just want to give a quick shout out to our partner, or partners rather, who make this possible. So because we are a traveling podcast, and every adventure does need a co-pilot or two in order to share the experiences. Thank you to Riverside FM and RSS.com for being our podcasting and content creation co-pilots. For inspiring us and for making recording, producing, and sharing all of this wonderful content possible out there. And so if you are someone who's keen to come and also tell your cool stories, you may be a content creator, a podcaster, or a YouTuber, or just someone who's keen to create something for yourself, do check out these platforms, and they've given us some amazing discounts. So you can DM us at fridayfeels.co on Instagram or Facebook to get hold of the discounts. And then I wanted to move into something we're doing, Kim, called the places, spaces, people, places, and spaces that we found to have the feels out there. So my shout out this week is to a very special friend of mine, and it's hot on this topic of traveling tribe vibes and home community. Matt Davison has been running the Cape Co-Living home in Cape Town, and it's a home-connected community as well for traveling citizens. So he was on episode 21 and season 1 of Your Happy Hour. We had him on to chat about his journey, so do check that out. But yeah, thank you, Matt, for what you're doing, for also creating cozy kind of co-living and working spaces around the world. And so for all the digital nomads out there that's wondering where you can go stay, check out Cape Co-Living. And yeah, we hope to have Matt back soon to also talk about his endeavors and what he's doing now. So on that topic, to talk about our shared gems for the week, Kim, I wanted to move into this little space which we do. We're talking a lot about thank yous today, but the shared gems is really a space where we can communicate what we've learned this week, maybe something that was of gratitude, maybe it was difficult. So I'll start just to give you an idea, and then you can share if you want to. So my gem this week was that it happened to be another cycle around the sun for me. So another birthday, and turning 36, being on the more towards 40 side of life. Even though in my mind it seemed really daunting, has been incredibly magical. And so I've really been very grateful for this birthday and for all the beautiful people who made it very special for me. Yeah, just being able to connect with community here and share a very special time. So on the topic of making friends around the world, which has really been my gift to myself in the last 2 years, and now being here, thank you to all for making a very special birthday. And that was really my gem. So what was yours, Kim?
Well, first, happy birthday.
Thank you.
I've had many more trips around the sun than you. I don't know. My dream for the week just was to get through it. Honestly, we're having very challenging times here in the U.S. And everybody I know who's has my frame of mind is kind of under the weather, trying to find bright spots in something that seems overwhelming. And so, making connections with people. I think that we see things alike, talking things out together to get through it together, and then finding, in the case of the U.S., certain judges are stopping some of what's going on. So I have appreciation for my colleagues in other venues for trying to keep things, stop the craziness, I guess. So I was happy to get through the week. And we're having a birthday party, actually, and we can have it for you as well tonight for my partner.
Thanks.
So we're having friends over and cooking and, having a community together. So that was my week.
Yeah, I think it's such a beautiful reminder to us all that community is everything. When you're going through tough times, it's really the resonance you find with other people, the being able to talk about things openly that helps.
Sure.
I think, and that's, I know you guys are going through a tough time there. So I'm sending virtual hugs and a happy birthday to your partner too. And then I hope you have a great party. I also want to ask the people out there, if you're listening, what does this topic mean to you? What are you feeling about where you're finding home? Or can you actually imagine maybe opening up your home to someone else who's keen to experience your culture, your city, or your country? We want to hear all the feels about what you're thinking about traveling, about tribe, about home exchange. So do let us know. And then I do have one more question for you, Kim. This last section that we're doing, we call it the stack. And, maybe it could be a quote, but it'd be nice if it's a book that you feel is a good recommendation. Or maybe it's something you're reading at the moment. So the question to you is, what is in your stack?
So my stack this week is actually travel guides. I got 2 in the mail, one for Taipei in Taiwan and one for Bangkok and beyond in Thailand. So I've been reading those actually. And then when I travel, what I do is I read stuff. I read blogs, a lot of blogs, things like that, kind of thinking ahead. And then I use my Google Map and let's say I read about, okay, this site sounds super interesting, or this waterfall or this restaurant. I mark it on the map so that then when I'm there or on Instagram, I might see something. Say I'm dying to go to Mexico City again, I'll see something like that. I mark it on my map. So I'm deep into those 2 books right now, but sort of, I guess, kind of pedestrian based on our conversation. I don't have anything super exciting to say that I've read besides that. That's just what's on my stack right now.
I love it. And what are the travel guides? Is there a name that we can share?
Oh, they're just I think one's Lonely Planet, and the other one I think is Moon. I'm not sure. Okay. I don't remember.
Okay. Amazing. No, thank you. That's so great. And I think it's very topical to what we're talking about. So that's awesome. So we'll definitely share those out on the socials. And for everyone else, we're wondering what you're reading. We hope it's something fun that's inspiring you to go travel and experience yourself out in the world. And on that, I just want to say thank you so much to Home Exchange for connecting me to Kim, for being the platform that they are, giving us a space to be able to energy exchange outside of traditional systems. We hope that there's more of that in the world to come soon. And yeah, thank you to you, Kim. Thank you for coming on here. Thank you for sharing about your travels, about your career, and yeah, some stories that I know people are going to lap up out there. Thank you for having an honest and open conversation about that.
Of course, my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
If you haven't just yet, follow Friday Feels on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and LinkedIn. You can share with us all your feels this week by tagging us at fridayfeels.co. And you can also find the website at that handle. And now, as you ease into this weekend, take a moment. Celebrate who you've become, what you've overcome, and what is yet to come as you do the crazy and cool things that you do as the authentic you. You know, the truth about life and work is that it's hard, but the beauty is this global working experience that you're in, well, we earn it together. So keep connecting, empowering, and inspiring this week. And of course, keep it raw and real. Until next time.